Okay, we all know that feeling, right? You get home and bam, there's that Amazon box sitting on your porch.
Like a little present you bought for yourself.
Exactly. But have you ever thought about the person who actually brought it to you?
The one driving all over town just to make sure you get your stuff.
Yeah, today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of Amazon delivery drivers.
Especially during the holiday season. It's crazy busy for them.
Oh, yeah, and we found this really interesting article from the Daily Dot.
It doesn't hold back either. They share some pretty intense stories from drivers.
Yeah, like working in super hot weather.
Or like dealing with tons more deliveries than they can even handle.
Makes you think twice about clicking that next day delivery button, huh?
For sure. And one of the things the article talks about is how tough these working conditions are.
It's got to be stressful.
Definitely. And it seems like it's leading to a lot of drivers quitting, like they can't handle it anymore.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How many are we talking about?
Well, some leaked documents were saying that the turnover rate for Amazon's hourly workers could be as high as 150%.
Oh, 150. That's like more than half of them leaving.
Yeah, it's wild. Now, Amazon says those documents aren't totally accurate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're disputing some of those numbers.
Yeah.
But even if it's not exactly 150%, it's still pretty clear that they're having a hard time keeping their drivers around.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
Mm.
But hey, in all this talk about tough working conditions and high turnover rates, the article did mention a program that Amazon's using to try and show some love to their drivers.
Oh, yeah, the Thank My Driver program.
Right, how does that work exactly?
So basically, customers can send a thank you directly to their driver.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Amazon actually gives the driver a $5 bonus for every thank you they get.
So like a little extra holiday cash.
Exactly. You can even do it through your Alexa. Just say, Alexa, thank my driver. Or you can use the Amazon app.
That's super easy.
Yeah.
So I guess everyone's going to be saying thank you now, huh?
Well, there's a bit of a catch.
What's that?
Amazon is only giving out the $5 bonus until the end of December.
Ah, so it's a limited time thing.
Yeah, they've put a cap on it. Only the first 2 million thank yous will get the bonus.
Oh, wow. So it's like a race against time for drivers to get those bonuses.
Kind of makes you wonder, is this a genuine effort to help out drivers, or is it just a PR move?
Yeah, especially since it's happening right during the holiday season when everyone's paying attention to how companies treat their workers.
It's a smart move for sure. It gets
Yeah.
them some good press. But it also raises questions about whether this is really about driver well-being or if it's more about, protecting Amazon's image.
Right, like are they actually trying to make things better for their drivers or are they just trying to make themselves look good?
That's the big question.
Well, either way, $5 is $5.
True, every little bit helps. But I think we need to look at this program within the bigger context of the whole gig economy.
What do you mean?
Well, Amazon is basically like gamifying gratitude. They're making it fun and easy for customers to thank drivers, but it kind of shifts the responsibility for fair compensation away from Amazon and onto the customer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like they're saying, hey, we're not going to pay our drivers more, but you can if you want.
Exactly. And it raises the question of whether tipping should really be the solution here, or should companies like Amazon be the ones taking the lead and making sure their workers are paid fairly?
That's a really good point. It feels like a tricky situation because on the one hand, it's nice for customers to be able to show their appreciation and maybe help drivers earn a little extra.
Yeah, for sure.
But then again, is it right for companies to rely on customers to make up for low wages?
Yeah. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
It's definitely something to think about.
This whole Thank My Driver program, it's been around for a while, actually.
Has it? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the article mentioned that it started back in 2022.
So this isn't the first time they've done this.
Nope. And it seems like it always pops up around the holidays, which adds another layer to this whole discussion.
Like, is this really about appreciating drivers, or is it just a tactic they use every year to boost their image during the busiest shopping season?
Right. It's hard to know for sure. But here's a really interesting tidbit from the article. Someone actually calculated how much Amazon was spending on this program back in 2022.
Okay, how much was it?
Well, get this. It was only a tiny fraction of Amazon's total net worth, like 0.00005%.
Wow, that's incredibly small.
Right. It makes you think, we're talking about one of the richest companies in the world.
And this program that they're using to show appreciation for their essential workers, it's funded with what amounts to pocket change for them.
It's a pretty stark contrast, and it makes you wonder about their priorities.
Yeah, it's like, are they really serious about supporting their drivers? Or is this just a PR stunt?
Exactly. It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but that tiny percentage, it really makes you
No kidding. So here we have this program. It's got its limitations. It's only for a limited time. And it's funded with what seems like a ridiculously small amount of money.
Right.
And the big question is it truly a meaningful way to show appreciation for these essential workers? Or was it just a way for Amazon to deflect criticism and make themselves look good while still leaving the burden of fair compensation on the customer?
It's a question worth considering, and maybe it points to a bigger conversation we need to have about the role of technology in all of this and how we as a society value the people who are doing these essential jobs, especially in the gig economy.
Yeah, that's a big one. Something we should all be thinking about.
For sure. This is just scratching the surface. There's a lot more to unpack here.
It really makes you wonder, is this Thank My Driver program a genuine attempt to appreciate drivers, or is it just a PR move timed for the holidays? It does seem to come back every year, doesn't it?
That's definitely one of the things that stands out. The timing is well suspicious. If Amazon really cared about their drivers, wouldn't they just make this program year-round?
Exactly. And you know what else is interesting? Remember we talked about how much money they put into this program back in 2022?
Yeah, it was a tiny, tiny sliver of their total worth.
Like 0.0005%. That's practically nothing for a company as big as Amazon.
It's like finding a penny on the ground when you're a billionaire. Doesn't really change much, does it?
Not really. So it does make you question how meaningful it really is. Maybe they're just hoping for some good press during the busiest shopping time of the year.
That's a possibility for sure. But okay, let's try and look at it from their side for a second. Even if their intentions aren't pure, those $5 bonuses probably help the drivers who get them right.
I'm sure they do. Every little bit counts when you're working a tough job like that.
But I think the issue goes beyond just a few extra dollars here and there. It's about making sure all drivers are paid fairly and treated well, not just relying on these bonuses.
That's true. So are we back to that question again about whether customers should be responsible for tipping, or should companies like Amazon be taking the lead in paying their workers a living wage?
Exactly. This program almost makes it seem like Amazon is trying to shift the responsibility away from themselves and onto us. Like, hey, we're not going to pay our drivers more, but you can if you feel like it.
And that kind of makes it seem like they're trying to avoid the real problem, which is fair wages. Instead, they're counting on customers to be generous and tip through this program.
Right. They're basically saying, if you care so much about our drivers, you'll thank them and give them extra money. But shouldn't they be the ones ensuring their workers are paid properly in the first place?
Definitely makes you think. It's a tough situation. I totally understand wanting to thank drivers for their hard work, especially when they go the extra mile. But at the same time, I worry that this program could be hiding a much bigger problem, like how gig workers are treated and how little they're paid.
It's a valid concern, and this goes beyond just Amazon. Think about all the other companies that rely on gig workers, like ride-sharing apps and food delivery services. They all face these same questions about fairness and responsibility.
So as we head into the holiday season, it's important to be aware of all these different aspects. That Amazon package you get isn't just a convenient purchase. It represents a whole system of workers and technology and consumer choices.
Exactly. So yeah, saying thank you is a nice gesture, but we also need to look beyond that and ask ourselves some tough questions. Like, as customers, are we comfortable with relying on tips to make sure essential workers get paid a decent wage?
Or should we be demanding that companies like Amazon step up and do more?
Those are important questions to consider. And that's what's so great about deep dives like this. We start with one article and end up uncovering all these layers of complexity. It really makes you think about the bigger picture.
It does. And we always want to leave our listeners with something to think about. So here's a final thought for you. Is a thank you really enough? Or is this whole Thank My Driver program just a symptom of a much bigger problem? It's a lot to think about, for sure. Makes you realize there's so much more to online shopping than just clicking Buy Now. There are actual people behind those deliveries, and the way these systems work can have a big impact on their lives.
Absolutely. And it all comes back to being an informed consumer. We need to be aware of the systems behind the products we buy and understand how our choices affect the people who make those products possible.
So what can we do? It feels overwhelming. Like, should we stop using Amazon completely? Or is there a way to still enjoy the convenience of online shopping while also making sure we're not contributing to a system that mistreats workers?
It's not about finding one perfect solution. It's more about starting the conversation. By simply recognizing that these issues exist and thinking critically about our role as consumers, we're already doing something positive.
So maybe it starts with something small, like taking a moment to thank our drivers.
Yeah.
Not just through Amazon's program, but like actually acknowledging them in their work.
Exactly. It's about making that connection and recognizing that there's a person behind that package. And hey, you never know, those little acts of kindness might encourage companies like Amazon to rethink how they treat their workers and start creating a more fair system for everyone.
That's a nice thought. It reminds us that we all have a part to play in making the world a little bit better. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware, making informed choices, and speaking up for what we believe in.
Well said. And that's maybe the biggest takeaway from all of this. It's not just about Amazon drivers or the holiday season. It's about understanding that our choices have consequences and that we're all connected in ways we might not always realize. Even something as simple as ordering a package online can have ripple effects that we might not see.
It's a reminder that every click, every purchase, every interaction has a story behind it. And we have the power to choose what kind of story we want to be a part of.
So the next time you're shopping online, whether it's on Amazon or somewhere else, take a minute to think about the bigger picture. Think about the people behind those products, the systems that brought them to your screen, and the impact your choices are having on the world around you.
And remember, even small actions can make a difference. Being kind, making thoughtful choices, speaking up for what's right, it all adds up.
It's about moving beyond just being consumers and becoming engaged citizens who recognize that we have the power to shape a better world. And that's a goal worth working towards, don't you think?
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found this conversation interesting and that it inspired you to keep exploring the world around you with curiosity and a critical eye. Until next time, stay curious.